Film is a medium that transports. All I have to do is pop myself in front of the TV to watch a movie, and I can just enjoy it, whatever place the film takes me to.
Movies have always been an escape. It gives you a whole new world to be in.
I have a rekindled love affair with movies.
Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Reel to Reel Talk. I am Sergio Barrera, and it is time once again to get together and talk all things movies. Joining me, as always, is the rest of the Reel to Reel Talk team. Paul Britton, good morning. How are you, sir?
Doing well, thank you.
Awesome. Welcome to the show. Susan Chisholm is our other partner in crime. Susan, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I just wanted to tell you, I watched Palm Springs, and I thought it was really great.
Yay!
Is that a trifecta? All three of us loved it?
Yeah.
Imagine if we had actually done it at the same week and could have had a conversation about it.
No
that would have
kidding.
been crazy.
That would have been great. What a way to start. Well, here you go. Right into the show we leap. Welcome to both of you, as always. And, this week we get to talk movie assignments. One of the things that we like to do around here is sort of figure out who has seen what and who hasn't. And so on occasion, we do a movie assignments episode where we find a movie that two of us have seen and the third person has not, which is difficult sometimes, but it's a fun challenge to try to come up with. And we came up with some interesting selections this time. I had to watch an animated movie yet again, and it was going to be, something I was looking forward to. And so we're going to get to it, and we're going to each bring the movie to the table, talk about it, get each other's thoughts, and then move forward. We'll also have, as always, Susan finally saw, and what the hell did I just watch? And today is the start of Anime August, where I will actually talk about my new foray into the world of anime. As part of this episode of Reel to Reel Talk. So thank you all for joining us, and we're going to jump right in. So, guys, I'm really loving this movie assignments business. It's a lot of fun. I find that if we really think through things, we can identify, movies that because with Paul and I, Susan, we've seen a lot, right?
Yep.
And so there's a challenge there for trying to figure out, like, what do we give them? And I don't know about you, but Paul, you challenged me to try to figure out movies to give you, because of the three of us, I think you're the most watched overall.
I've seen a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why this is so much fun. So we each got a movie assignment, and I think I'd like to start by having us each share just quickly the title of the movie that we chose. So I will begin in terms of explaining what I saw. My movie assignment was WALL-E, the Disney or Pixar movie, I should say. Paul, yours was
7 pounds. Excuse me, 7 pounds.
7 pounds. And Susan, you were assigned
Fight Club.
Fight Club. And so what a diverse set of titles that we're going to take a look at today as part of this episode of Movie Assignments here on Reel to Reel Talk. And I'll go ahead and get us started because, hey, why not? Let's start with an animated film. You guys have done a great job pretty consistently of challenging me with films that my reaction tends to be, when you guys give me an assignment. And
100% of the time.
and WALL-E was one of those films I had yet to see. Many times it's in that list of titles that when I say I haven't seen it, people go, what? And so, being the sort of animated movie guy that I am, it was an easy choice. So where do I begin? The thing about WALL-E for me, and it's quite, it came out quite a while ago. This movie was back in 2008, was the release. And very timely in terms of its, sort of subject material. I'm going to start by simply saying I did not enjoy this film. It was Paul. I love your reactions, Paul. I didn't enjoy it. I found it to be very slow, right from the get-go. In fact, I had to watch it over 2 different days because I was falling asleep after the first 45, 50 minutes of it. I was like, I can't. And so Sergio, the person who is not typically a fan of animated films, except Ratatouille, the best animated film ever, watched this and was just, it was too slow getting going. Plus, you know me, I love dialogue, and there's no dialogue in the first.
Right, and right, and I wavered on whether I should warn you that this is basically a silent movie, and I decided not to.
Yeah,
because you actually liked The Artist.
Yeah.
Which is a silent movie, like
Right.
literally. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna let him discover
Let it
this.
lie.
And okay, just full disclosure, WALL-E's my favorite animated movie of all time.
Oh.
So, and that's okay.
I'm
You
letting
don't
you
like it.
down.
It's fine. There are people that don't like it, and I don't understand that. But you know, whatever.
So
Here's you're 100% right. It's slow.
yeah.
I will give that to you. It is.
Let me
slow.
ask you this.
Uh-huh.
When you say there are many people who don't like it, what are the before I even say what are the common? Are there 2 or 3 common reasons that people give you?
So the most common is the lack of dialogue.
Right.
Like the lack of dialogue is a knock on it that people don't like. I think the lack of dialogue makes it beautiful. The visuals are the visuals tell the story,
Oh,
and I love that. You know, I love that, and the robots emote,
Mhm.
and that's amazing. You know, to me, WALL-E has a very clear relationship with the cockroach, and there's no doubting about the friendship between WALL-E and a cockroach because of the way
Right.
they interact. And I think that's brilliant. It has one of the most beautifully animated scenes of all time with the dancing scene in space with Sigourney Weaver's voiceover explaining what dancing is.
Okay. I was like, whose voice is that?
Yeah, it's Sigourney Weaver. And that scene is mind-boggling. It's just it is beautiful. It is just absolutely 100% beautiful. I love the commentary on consumerism. That is another knock on it that I've heard from people is like, I don't need to be I don't need to be told that we're headed towards just becoming giant beluga whales, in space. And it's like, okay, fine, but it's a different type of commentary. The movie's an apocalyptic movie, quite frankly.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
and but there's hope because they find a plant and they put the plant in a shoe. And
Yeah.
I mean,
Right. Well, and I didn't have any issue with the consumerism,
Okay.
Thought. The overall message of the movie very plain. We're headed toward this, in the film exaggerated notion of what's going to happen to our planet. But I think that all of us live in a time where, with climate change being the conversation that it is, consumerism, rampant. Listen, I had no issue with the message of the movie. I really didn't. In fact, I thought it was a creative way to bring up those issues, especially when you consider, again, that it was more than a decade ago that this movie was released.
right.
We're living in the midst of the beginnings of this kind of, mindset that people have about, for as much as people say about global warming and, how we treat the planet, and what a stuff-focused, people we are. We're living what this movie is talking about in terms of what the potential could be.
Yeah.
I think where where it departed from me, and the first half of the film is the non-dialogue portion, in which you get all the interaction between Eve and Wally, which is really adorable. It's really quite cute. But I think the issue I had with this movie is I couldn't get past quite cute. Like, it was cute. The Pixar animation is always going to be great. It's always going to, be, as you stated, fun to watch and be amazed by. I think where the story really turned for me, and this is where, it's that dark moment that always happens in animated films, was just the state in which you find the people when they finally get to the Axiom, and you begin to realize, why Eve was sent, what's going on for real. And then you see the state of the people. I was like, this is bizarre. This is like this is a big commentary on the state of the planet is one thing. And then this statement of people are just going to become these big, useless blobs.
The beluga whales in space, yeah.
Right.
So,
I don't know. It bothered me.
And that's the problem. So the problem is the idea that the problem that people have is the idea that the consumerism leads to them becoming sloths.
Right.
But how do you get from, like, how do you morally get from consuming so much to the point that you have to abandon your planet? Like, what do you have to transform into as a society? And it's a really, really, really dark, harsh critique on humanity. It really is. I mean, and there's no way about it. And so you just need to decide, some people are really uncomfortable with that. I'll just leave it at that. Some people are really, and you're clearly one of those people, and that's okay. I think that that's a valid criticism of it. I do say that dismissing the first act as cute, I don't see that. Like, I just don't see that at all. And that's okay. And that's the way you came at it, and that's okay. Right. I just think that dismisses a lot of Wally's humanity. Like, literally the humans, the people who have to, the characters that have to teach humanity how to be human again are Wally and Eve. And Wally is so vulnerable. And that vulnerability is more than just cute. Like, I just don't,
Yeah, and again, you and I, we as often as we come in films in the same way, we often come just as many times in movies in different ways. And the thing I think that bugged me about this whole, they were robots, and that's why I had issue with this whole notion of emoting and the cutesy and they were robots, and that's where for me it's like, okay, I have to remind myself it's an animated film, just go with it. But it was robot love just wasn't my bag, I guess, in terms of this this movie.
See, I'm really, really deep into robot love.
Well, yeah, and so again.
So Susan, I'm hogging the mic here as a defender of Wall-E. So only because it is my favorite animated movie of all time. But I'm really I would love to hear your take as well on what it is that your thoughts on what it is that you like about it.
Yeah. So it actually, in preparation for this, I watched it again. Just because it's been, my kids are older now, so I haven't seen it in a while. But when it was a thing, I saw it about 18 times a day, just basically on repeat, because that's my kids. My son was Wally and my daughter was Eve for Halloween in 2011. So I really like Wall-E. It's one of the only movies that I could tolerate being on repeat constantly, possibly because there was so little dialogue in the beginning and because I could be doing other things around. But I agree, with Paul, his point is that the emotional aspect of these robots have emotions, and they are the driving force behind getting humanity back to being human again. I love, so as I was watching it, I was paying attention to how I was reacting to certain things, and there were little tiny things that would happen that are little moments in every group of scenes. There's little moments that happen that just kind of made you go and I had to be quiet because I was watching it, and it was some of the little things that you catch that are funny and that are adorable, that add to the charm of it. And I wonder, Sergio, if you caught some of those moments, and if you saw them, like okay, my favorite character in WALL-E is not Wally or Eve, it's Mo.
Mm-hmm.
Mo is my favorite character, and that's why, like, sometimes I do it and I don't even think about it. We're doing something and I'll look and I go, wrong, and I'll go, whoa. I do that a lot. So he's my favorite character because he was the one that was following the rules all the time, and he had to like force himself to break the rules in order to go, follow and chase after Wally and clean up his mess.
Yeah.
But like the way that everybody worked together, the way that all of it happened to come together, it's easy. It's adorable. It's one of my favorite movies, and the kids love it still.
Yeah.
So
Mo has OCD. I mean, let's not kid ourselves here. Mo literally has OCD. is a robot with OCD, and has to decide which of my directives do I follow here. Do I follow my OCD directive of I have to clean everything, or do I follow my directive that I have to stay on track? And the OCD overcomes him. I mean, that's just, there are so many moments like that.
Yeah, and I think that my enjoyment of it was again hampered by my approach to it. It's difficult to figure out when you haven't seen, especially with animated movies, when you haven't seen a film and you're watching it for the first time. I'll give you an example. You guys have heard me say 1,000 times, even on this episode, that Ratatouille is my favorite animated movie. I was able to get into Ratatouille as deeply as I did because of my in-depth knowledge and experience in cooking. I took culinary classes. I guess for myself, and I'm not saying this to be sarcastic, it was easier for me to do that whole suspension of disbelief and believe that a rat could cook than I was able to believe that robots could have emotions. And so again, it was just a matter of context. What's
your feeling towards R2-D2 and C-3PO?
Oh, as characters, I love them. I think they're fantastic. I can't explain why for one and not another.
Okay, that's fine.
It was, I think overall, the pacing of the first half of the movie.
Yeah, the first act is slow.
For me, doomed it, because it was like, oh God, when is this going to go somewhere? And the visuals were. I loved the scene of the ship landing when Eve first arrives. Moments like that were really spectacular to see play out. Her frantic nature, or not frantic, but sort of her
business-like.
Yeah, but just the way she flitted back and forth doing her job and doing her thing, and her weapon is just hilarious. Like, I love that gun that comes out at different times. So again, there were moments of it that I found funny and enjoyable, and overall, where I'm, it's not going to be one I'll see again.
Right.
It had its moments. Its moments. I wasn't really. I guess the other thing for me was I really wanted there to be a villain like I'm used to there being, and Otto just didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
Because again, there's a deeper message here. Which, listen, I think part of it, and this is kind of where I'll land on this film. Animated films all have a statement of some sort. There's I don't think there's any denying. You go all the way back to the age of Looney Tunes and such. You're going to get some form of commentary on something from animated anything. This one, I think, for me, was just so heavy-handed because there wasn't the typical charm that I'm used to when it comes to these types of movies. It didn't follow the signature tropes that I'm used to, because your villain was an autopilot. Okay, yeah, sure. Although the guy who played the president, Fred, what is his last name?
Fred Willard.
Thank you, Fred
Yeah.
Willard.
Amazing.
Brilliant moments. I loved that they didn't animate him. You know,
Yes.
I don't know why, but it's like you don't mess with Fred
Well,
Willard, man.
But that's important to the evolution of the people that left the planet and where they are now. Like,
No,
you know,
okay.
to you know, what happens to a human when he can be nothing but a consumer with zero consequences?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they
Gotcha.
set up for them. So on Earth, they were consumers, but there were consequences.
Yeah.
Now you've removed the consequences completely,
Yeah.
and you are now just a consumer. And there is no, you know, there's nothing that requires you to be human anymore. And so
Sure.
you turn into a slug,
Yeah.
a beluga whale in space.
So yeah, so if we are doing at least quick ratings on this, Wall-E for me lands. I won't go below a 3 because it definitely it has all of the Pixar magic in terms of, you know, the animation, and you're right, the dancing scene. I love the way that they interwove the elements of what made Wall-E, or I guess in my case was attempting to make Wall-E again more relatable. You know, being able to recognize some of the things like the Rubik's Cube and, you know, the little things that he finds in stores. And I think the only part of the movie that made me go, oh, okay, like it was a big reveal moment, was when they said it had been 700 years since the Axiom had left.
The
And-
septuacentennial cupcake in a cup.
Cupcake in a cup.
And so again, I think it just didn't have enough moments strung together
Mhm.
for me to feel like, you know, it was the kind of experience that would make me go back and try to enjoy it again. So I'm gonna go a solid 3 tacos for Wall-E, because I understand there are many who love it.
That's a pity rating to not hurt my feelings, because you wanted to
No.
give it a 2.
No, not at all.
understand. Okay.
Not at all. No, I'm sincere when I say I wouldn't go below a 3, because I cannot deny the craftsmanship that goes into this movie in terms of, you know, the animation,
Okay.
you know, the storytelling, the interweaving of both, you know, a live shot of Fred Willard versus, you know, it does a lot of good stuff. It just didn't land for me
Okay.
in the green
In the
shield part.
feels.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
All right,
Understood.
so that's Wall-E, my assignment, and now I'm really looking forward to see what the heck you guys are going to give me next time.
Well, we already know what it is. We won't spoil it, though.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we said we're going to go with Paul.
Yeah.
Paul.
All right. So
Me
Paul,
and 7 pounds. Because
There you
going
go.
Wall-E Fight Club 7 pounds would be way too jarring. So
Yeah. Good point.
so 7 pounds came up when we were doing a
This is Susan finally saw.
Will Smith or a conversation on Will Smith, right?
Yeah.
And Susan had mentioned that 7 pounds was one that she had watched and really enjoyed with him. And so, so 7 pounds is not the kind of movie that I typically go see. Like this is not the kind of movie. So this is like a good, like, as much as you don't go see animated movies, I don't go see purposefully schmaltzy, like just there for nothing but to, you know, extract emotion, in spite of my love for Pixar movies. And yes, I know that a lot of what Pixar does is, you know, a manipulation of feelings, but yes, I understand. I acknowledge that.
Thank you for
However,
saying that
I
for
feel
me.
like that Pixar is doing it in a different way than, like, 7 pounds literally is made just for the purpose
yeah.
of, like, you know,
Yeah.
feels. Here are the feels. So, and I know why, because I sit there, they don't, so the motivation of Will Smith. So the movie's about Will Smith, who that's the big cliffhanger, I guess. Something happens and Will Smith is doing things. And they appear to be good things, except for, you know, yelling at blind people over the phone. And Um, and you see that at one point he is a you know, some type of engineer and an aerospace engineer, and then but now he works at the IRS, and it's there are way too many questions with this movie. Like I can't watch a movie like this and not be like, but why and how and this doesn't explain that. And
Yeah.
okay, you're saying that explains that, but it really doesn't. Like, you're not explaining things, and like, and your explanation just doesn't make any sense. And why? So for me, one of the things about the movie is they wait for the big reveal on why is Will Smith doing this until the end. But if you're paying attention at all, you kind of know why he's doing it within the first 10 minutes of the movie. Like, they throw a red herring at you with the first scene of the movie, which is him berating a blind person on the telephone. And I'll be honest with you, I hate the beginning. Like, I don't know why you're setting this movie up. I can't figure out why you're setting this movie up for us to just hate Will Smith. I had a hard time getting past the, like, I feel like if they start with the big reveal, that's enough. And you're not ruining the movie at all by starting with the big reveal. Like, I don't think that anything is added to the movie by hiding. I don't think anything is added to the movie by hiding his motivation. I don't think anything is added to the movie by giving hints of the motivation by hopscotching through time, which, by the way, is one of my favorite conceits of all time, because my favorite book of all time is Catch-22. So I have no problems with nonlinear storytelling. Okay, so before anybody says, oh, well, you just don't like nonlinear storytelling, not true. I love nonlinear storytelling, but I kind of feel like there should be a point behind it. And I don't feel like the point on this, in this particular case, is a strong enough point. And I don't think it's a conceit that works well with this movie, because I feel like it's okay to not like Will Smith, because you see what happens in you know, when the big reveal happens on his motivation. That's a reason enough not to like Will Smith. Like, that's what he does is horrible, and but I want to root for him on his road to redemption. Like, I feel like you're allowed to root for him on his road to redemption. I feel like that's something that happens in movies that is okay. And at no point do I give a shit about Will Smith at all during this entire movie, because he treats Woody Harrelson, the blind guy on the, you know, the blind telephone working guy, so horribly. And the explanation of it at the end of the movie of, I did it because I needed to make sure you don't get angry. It's like, no, there's no reason. There is no reason to treat somebody as horribly as he treats Woody Harrelson. And yes, the first 5 minutes of the movie completely took me out of the movie. And I had a really, really hard time trying to pull myself into it and enjoy it. A really hard time, to the point that I didn't enjoy it, and I never got there. I just never got there. I didn't care the entire time.
This movie was released in 2008. Could it be, Paul, that this was one of the earliest attempts by Will Smith to do dramatic roles?
Okay, interesting, and it's possible. And I noticed that he was the executive producer on this. So obviously, you know, when a movie star is executive producer on a movie, it's a movie that hits him, you know, it's, or her, you know, it's a movie that hits that actor in such a way that this is a movie they want to have made. Yeah. And they want to be a part of beyond just either beyond just acting or producing. It's something that they're emotionally invested in, and kudos. I think that's great. And yeah, you're right. It is. Well, but he did Ali in 2001. So, and he did Legend of Bagger Vance in 2000.
Yeah,
So,
I wouldn't personally say that those were like, this was his heavy drama debut, because Ali is not heavy drama. It's, it's him being Ali. So
okay.
I have issues with that.
But I Am Legend came out in 2007 before this. So this is his in the midst of that,
Yeah.
so I get it. Yeah. But this is not a criticism of Will Smith choosing this movie. This is a criticism of, and this is not a criticism of the plot of the movie. This is a criticism of the construction of the movie. This is a criticism of, me personally, treating people like, you can make mistakes in life that have dire consequences that make you a bad person. Nothing gives you the right to treat a human being as horribly as he treated Woody Harrelson. Nothing, just nothing. And it's traumatizing. Like it's like that hangs with Woody Harrelson forever, and completely doesn't. That's the kind of interaction, if you've ever worked in the service industry, that's the kind of interaction that you have with somebody, and that doesn't stick with you for one day. That sticks with you for, and that's not the kind of interaction either where Woody Harrelson can learn from, because it's not like Woody Harrelson did anything wrong. It's just it's a blatant, horrible personal attack on somebody, attacking them for something that they have no control over. It's horrible. It's horrible. It's unconscionable. The reason why makes no sense. Okay. And that's my biggest problem is that I'm okay with it if the reason why is like, oh, okay, I see. That's why. But the reason why, because you just want to make sure you can't just stalk him like you're stalking all the other people, and just observe them and ask a few questions of people and find out, yeah, this is actually a really good person. Like, there's the scene where he stalks Woody Harrelson into the restaurant, and he sees that Woody Harrelson is a frequenter at a diner and has a thing for a woman that works at the diner. And you can't just have a one-to-one conversation with somebody and say, hey, look, I see you. I see what's going on here. Talk to me about it. And you can't, and through that conversation, you can't figure out if somebody's a good person. You have to make them feel horrible about themselves. It's just,
first scene, I was going to say the first scene is a total exercise in trying to jar you into the movie.
Obviously. But guess what? I'm going to reveal. So mega spoiler alert. Skip forward 1 minute. Having a car accident where a family of 6 dies in a van is pretty fucking jarring and makes you hate Will Smith.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to make Will Smith a person who belittles a blind person to make you dislike him, but make you root for his I want to say resurrection, but that's not the word. I used the right word earlier. Redemption. Thank you. You can. I was not rooting for Will Smith's redemption through this entire movie, and maybe that's the point. Maybe I am missing the point, and the whole point is that you don't actually want Will Smith to be redeemed. You don't care when he dies, but I feel like they dwelled on the dying scene so long that you were supposed to feel something, and I was just like, good. This is somebody that I didn't care. I just didn't care at all. Like, it was just like, good. He's saving a life. And okay, so let's assume the people that skip forward 1 minute, it's very jarring to see Woody Harrelson with brown eyes, but that's a whole other thing. At the end of the movie.
Yeah. Well, given your explanation of it. So when we first talked about it, Paul, did Susan or I tip our hand as to how we felt about the movie?
Well, Susan definitely clearly liked it, and I don't
Okay.
want to criticize her like for it because I can understand why how somebody would like it.
Yeah.
Because I think Will Smith is a known entity and gets leeway and has earned that leeway. It just wasn't enough. Like he doesn't have that much leeway with me.
Gotcha. Okay.
So.
No, and the only reason I ask is because I'm trying to remember. This is not the kind of movie that I'd be like, oh my God, you got to see it.
Right.
I saw it because it was, just, there are those movies I watch that end up in the pantheon of movies that Sergio's watched because Sergio's watched them, not because of any sort of emotional impact or anything. So, Susan, your thoughts on this particular film, how does, because I remember feeling very neutral about it when it was over. It was like, okay, all right, well, that was that. And, I didn't really have strong opinions either way. For you,
well, this movie came up as a Susan finally saw while we were talking about the one degree from Independence Day.
Right.
So,
right. That's what it was. Yeah. That's what it was.
So
yes.
The thing is, like this, I can see your point, Paul, where you say like that he's a bad guy throughout the movie. I did not like the way that he treated Woody Harrelson at all.
Yeah.
But it didn't impact me as much as it impacted you, I guess, because it's like, I guess I was just kind of expecting it from the beginning, and then going on and watching him continue. It's just like, okay, that's enough now. But I never really hated him. I still was kind of rooting for him, I guess, towards the end. It was like, it was also like I was really rooting for Emily, Rosario Dawson. I'm like, she is very clearly a wonderful person, and so it's like those are. I was more like acknowledging his sacrifice is going to be making these other people better. So I guess that's just me.
And I'm owning the fact that how viscerally I reacted to the opening scene. Like I own that. That is my reaction because that is the kind of thing. Like my trigger when I'm online and I see and I see the photos of receipts where it's like, tip 2 cents next time, don't wear a mask type of thing, or tip 2 cents, but go find Jesus. Like that is like, no, that is my trigger. Like if it had been in any other environment other than Woody Harrelson is trying to do his job, I probably wouldn't have reacted remotely as much. But Woody Harrelson's just trying to do his fucking job, and you're treating him this horribly. It's like, no.
Oh yeah. So, yeah. That scene was it wasn't quite the impact that you're describing, Paul, for me, but it was relatable because I've worked in the teleservice industry for the better part of the last, since 1996, 24 years. And it's, and I have been in the business so long that I have seen friends treated this way, that do this kind of work. And so, I totally get it. I think it affected you.
Like, and I have a hard time personally, like when I have to call and complain about something, and it's like, I am really slow to complain. All right. Like something really has to be, and so if I'm calling and complaining, I'm really mad, and I still make a concerted effort to frequently say, listen, I am not mad at you. I know that you're just doing your job, but I need to express my feelings on this, and like I try to make the person who I am yelling at, because that's how mad I am, understand I'm not yelling at you. I'm mad at the situation, and I know that this is difficult for you. Like I try to throw that in. It's just so. Yeah. But I really, we've harped on this long enough.
So in terms of a type of rating, Paul, you have a quick type rating for 7 pounds?
I'm torn between a 2 and a 3 because honestly, I'm going to go ahead and say a 3, but we're going to go back to crunchy tacos. It's a 3 with crunchy shells, not soft, because I like the concept of the movie. I really do, and it's a movie that I would have never seen, but I would have enjoyed if. Gotcha. And so I'll give it the 3 crunchy tacos.
It's idea versus execution. So,
correct. I like the idea. Totally works. 100% works. The execution FF minus.
Gotcha.
Or F
minus
minus. Yeah.
So 7 pounds. Again, if you've seen it, then
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
We welcome your thoughts on our
Sure.
social media. And Paul, thank you for your entry this week on movie assignments. Susan, that brings us to you, and you had an interesting one. I have been waiting for the day that we can see your reaction to a film like Fight Club.
Yeah,
Mm.
and I apologized up front. And I'm going to apologize again. I'm sorry we made you do this.
I'm not,
There you go.
because this is one of my favorite movies.
All right, so
Oh, I love it too. But
Fight Club. Fight Club was from 1999. Has Edward Norton, Brad Pitt. So okay, it's old enough now that I can do things not be spoilery, right?
absolutely.
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, let me tell you about this movie.
Oh, your face.
I was so freaking confused for a while
Mhm.
up until right before the reveal, and I was like, and then I was angry. So I had to go back and like watch little. I had to go back and like watch little bits of what was going on to see what, because there were tons of
Mhm.
clues rather. There were tons of little like things peppered in throughout there. You can see exactly what's going on if
Yeah.
you pay attention. But it was like 11:30 at night, and I was like, and this was, by the way, this wasn't last night at 11:30.
Okay.
I didn't wait till the last minute to watch my movie. And sometimes I do that. Sorry. I watched this. Okay, so we filmed on Sunday of last week or 2 weeks ago when we decided this was going to be our topic. I watched it that Tuesday,
Okay.
like within 2 days of our last
Cool.
two episodes ago.
Cool.
There were a number of parts of this movie that elicited a external response.
Oh wow.
Like the biggest thing it's still stuck in my mind, and I was thinking about it. It was really, I was out yesterday doing, just hanging out and doing different fun things, and like it popped into my head at one point, and I was like, I need a minute.
Yeah. This
Because
movie sticks with you. It's
we
like
were
peanut
out-
butter. It hangs on the roof of your mouth for a while.
Oh, peanut butter. So we were we were out, and there were fences, and I looked up and saw like there was something else nearby that had barbed wire, and I was like, because of the scene where the plastic bag of like fat catches on the barbed wire and like
I know exactly what you're talking about because of
Oh, my
how
goodness.
and it gets all over him and
I
it's the
love
worst.
that
It's the worst. It's the
it was
worst.
just so gross. I was like, that's nasty.
Yeah,
So
so
nasty.
bad.
And I could literally, that's literally all I could think about for like one whole minute. And I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm fine.
And years later, that scene still cracks me up. I could watch it today and I'll laugh out
Yeah.
loud.
I mean, throughout the whole thing with, and what when I went back and like tried to pick up, when I went back and was like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that as a clue back before, and I would go and rewatch it, and I saw it again. I'm like, yep, okay, got it. The biggest clue or clues, I guess, was Marla's reaction. Anytime he switched from the Brad Pitt to Ed Norton, she was always like, what is wrong? We were just, but the thing just, but I'm, huh? That was like, huh, okay. And Meatloaf, oh God, I love that guy so much. He played Bob. Okay.
Yeah. Helena Bonham Carter and Meatloaf, without those two, without their performance, they're so good in this movie. And like pulling my teeth to say Meatloaf was so good in something, but yeah, he is so good in this. And
he was
Helena
good.
Bonham Carter, who I love in everything, is so good in this.
So this is where you're going to raise your eyebrows. I don't particularly like her.
Okay.
I
That's
can
fair.
see her as an actor. Like she's a great actor. She does a great job at anything she does, but I've never I don't know what movie it was that just turned me off to her.
Okay.
This might have possibly redeemed her a little bit in my eyes, just because I'm not a fan of any. I'm just like, she's there, whatever. So that being said, I watched the entire movie from beginning to end, and then went back and picked up on some of the things that I thought I missed, or that I thought I saw but didn't latch onto at the moment. It's a tough one, for real, because y'all both love it.
I do.
It's y'all's favorite movies, and it's like I always.
It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite. It's not in my tier one.
It's in the top few.
Sure.
And apparently, I mean, not just y'all, but I mean, it's got an 8.8 out of 10 on IMDb, and it's decently scored throughout the entire thing. So I'm kind of hard pressed to argue with that. But like, truthfully, I liked it.
Okay.
I did.
Cool.
I did not think I was going to like it.
Yeah.
And especially after watching it, I was like, God damn it. It's definitely something that I can add to the watchable list again. But I had to process before I could say that. Like it's been almost, just shy of 2 weeks since I saw it, and I'm like still working on processing it. I think everybody in the movie did an amazing job, and throwing, like, the way that you were thrown off in different places. I really liked that. It was neat.
I get a huge kick out of the fact that one of the catalysts for you to finally see this movie was a meme, and now that you know the meaning behind the meme of Edward Norton and Brad Pitt in that picture.
Yeah, so he posted, Paul. I don't know if I posted it in our chat or if I just messaged Sergio directly. But he posted on one of the groups on Facebook that we're in, a picture of Brad Pitt and Ed Norton at
a party or something somewhere. Yeah.
And it's like, it's nice to see that he still talks to himself. And I was like,
it was in that super serious movie group that we're in.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And I was like, I asked him, and there was a different topic going on, and I kind of, it had been a little while since we had chatted about something, and I popped up with that, and he's like, what are you talking about? And I had to link him back to his own post on Super Serious Gang, and he was like, oh, you'll see.
Yeah. So. The thing, so much has already been said about Fight Club, but and we're not even supposed to be talking about it. The thing that for me I love about this movie, or one of the things, is Brad Pitt is this weird, people have one of two opinions. They love him or they hate him. And people will often talk about his ability in terms of acting. He is a brilliant actor. And I don't know that I have to sell the two of you on this, but I will say that for me, a movie like Fight Club is the kind of movie that reminds me of the brilliance of Brad Pitt. Because I've heard so many people give him shit. And I'm like, the dude is talented, beyond. Yeah. And so one of the reasons I love watching it, and I'm a huge Edward Norton fan, huge. And I remember when this movie came out, we saw it when the night it came out, and I was so ready. And I was like, this was fantastic, because it was two of my favorite actors. I just, there's 1,000 reasons I could say why I love Fight Club, but I just wanted to throw in Brad Pitt. For me, this is one of his master classes in acting. He's amazing.
Yeah, I was the target audience for this. I was a white male in my 20s when this movie came out. So, just facts. So, and I loved it. I mean, this was I just remember, there are some times when you just remember how you feel leaving a movie theater. And I just, this is one of those where it's just, I absolutely remember just being like, so good. That was so, just having a very viscerally positive reaction to it. And there are, in retrospect today, there's criticism of it, of basically just being a male machismo movie. And being problematic in that, and its
That's
glorification of
unfortunate.
and well, but it's true and it's valid. But I mean, look, let's be fair. It's a valid criticism. But I the problem with the male machismo movie isn't that they exist, because I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is that they exist in such quantities, high quantities. But the thing is that you can do male machismo movies that are excellent works of art, and I think Fight Club falls in that category.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like this isn't The Expendables, you know, which is a male machismo movie with almost nothing to offer beyond just being male machismo, whereas Fight Club is a genuinely good piece of art that happens to be a male machismo movie. And
It's
so,
attempting to be art. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, it achieves. I say
Oh,
it
yeah,
achieves. It,
absolutely.
you know, everything works on it. It's just fantastic. It's the frustration for me as a fan of this movie is that when somebody says, "Oh, it's just a male machismo, it's just more male machismo male machismo movie," is that, yeah, you're right, and there's way too many of those movies, and I can't say anything more than that, other than, but this one's a little different, and it's just it's not a conversation that I'm comfortable having with somebody when they're saying that, because it's hard to say, no, it's not just male machismo, because it is, but it's so good. It's done so well that I love it. So,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to apologize for that. I don't apologize for it. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
So, Susan, on our taco rating, how would you rate your experience in watching Fight Club?
I'm gonna say probably 4 tacos with guac.
Sweet.
4 tacos with guac, that's
Super fair. Super fair. That's
You
a
can
great
see-
rating. All right.
good. No, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I
am too.
was wondering, because I
am
think
too.
we, you know, I know when I knew you were going to watch it, and Paul, we're probably both the same in our thought process, because we know of how you feel about certain things that happen in film.
Mhm.
This was one of those movies that I knew you're either going to love it or hate it. And
Right.
if you end up
Right.
just liking it, I'm totally okay with that. So,
Yeah, I'm not gonna go as far as I love it.
Right.
I'll lean into the like a
Yeah.
lot.
It's a tough watch. Look, the reality is it's a tough watch. It's not
Oh,
an
yeah.
easy movie to slog through. But it's good. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it.
yeah.
I mean,
indeed.
it is, and it's not so there was not really anything that I outright hated about it.
Okay, cool.
There were parts that I was just kind of like less comfortable with, I guess.
Yeah.
But it ended up being fine.
Good.
Yeah.
So we'll say like.
All right. Well, thank you, Susan. If you have not yet had an opportunity to watch 7 Pounds, Fight Club, or Wall-E, we encourage you to do so, because we want you to have opinions about these films, and make sure you share them with us on our social media. You can find us at Real to Real Talk on Facebook and Instagram. So make sure you check us out there. Also, don't forget, if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, make sure you give us a like. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure you click on that notification bell so you know when our episodes land week to week.
And comment right in the YouTube. Criticize us.
Yes.
Critique us. Whatever.
Tell us what you think. Let us know, because we definitely will read those and hear you, or read you, understand you. So,
We'll pick up what you're putting down.
that's right. There you go. Fantastic. All right. Well, that's another round of movie assignments in the books. We thank you so much, Paul and Susan, for all that you bring, because I know that was fun, and I can't wait to do this again. So pretty soon we'll have to start thinking about what is next. All right. So that brings us to our weekly installment of What the Hell Did I Just Watch? Paul, thrill us, my friend.
All right. So today's installment of What the Hell Did I Just Watch comes to us from a man called Lars von Trier. I don't know, Sergio, have you seen any of his movies?
I know the name. If I've seen the movies, it's not. I don't associate the name with them.
Okay,
I'm
so
literally checking
before
right
we
now.
get to the actual movie itself, we'll go to what Lars has brought to us. So he made Dancer in the Dark, which is the movie with Bjork, which is the reason why Bjork was at the Academy Awards, which is why we have the swan dress. So
Oh, that's
worst
right.
case scenario, Lars von Trier was tangentially the reason for us having the swan dress, which I think is in and of itself enough. He made Nymphomania, which got some press. He's an art house movie guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's not making anything that has made more than like $20 million at the box office, you know. So and in 2018 he made a little movie called The House That Jack Built, and that is the movie that I watched. And so it's a psychological horror movie. It's the story. It stars Matt Dillon as a serial killer, and it does not shy away from the concept of Matt Dillon as a serial killer. Now, I don't always like this kind of movie. Like a perfect example is Natural Born Killers. That movie just didn't work for me. All right, it just didn't. And the part of it is celebrations of violence. I'm not a huge fan of, and so I think there's a fine line that you have to be careful of. And Fight Club's actually a really good example of something where I don't feel like Fight Club is necessarily a celebration of violence. I think it's more an exploration of insanity, quite frankly.
Right.
And that's what The House that Jack Built was. So I was very concerned going into this movie. It's totally fucked up. It is impossible to watch. Like it is really, really brutal and graphic. Really bad. Like just really, it is a very, very tough watch, but it also is fantastic. Honestly, I finished watching it, and it took me probably 2 days to figure out if I liked this movie or not. And the more I thought on it, the more I realized, you know what, in spite of my better judgment, I really, really, really liked this movie. I'm not going to say it spoke to me because it didn't, but as an artistic achievement, it deserves to be appreciated. And I was concerned that really liking this movie would make me lesser of a person, and so that's because it's really, I mean, it's really messed up. But so the conceit of the movie is that the serial killer has died. And you don't know how he's died. I will say by the end of the movie, you figure it out. It does reveal itself by the end of the movie. But and he's with a character, and you don't really. He refers to he's doing along with another character who you don't meet until towards the end. Actually, I guess you do meet, but anyway, they're doing voiceover, and what it is Jack, Matt Dillon. Jack is explaining to Verge what some of the horrible things that he's done, and doesn't try to justify it. Doesn't try to explain it, just put context to it, meaning just tries to say these are things that I've done. And Verge is like, throughout, look, don't bother, you're wasting your time. And he's like, no, I'm going to tell you these things. And you realize that Matt's not telling him these things as an apology or any. It's just that this is matter of fact things that I've done. And then you realize that Verge is being called Verge because it's Virgil. And then you realize, wait a second, in high school I read the Inferno, Dante's Inferno, part of the Divine Comedy. And in Dante's Inferno, part of the Divine Comedy, Virgil was the tour guide of the 9 Circles of Hell. And that's when you realize Matt Damon's dead. And in Hell is when you realize it's Virgil, and what's going on is Virgil, much like he gave Dante the tour of hell, is taking Jack through hell. And I made that connection, and so that's the seed that planted the I really like this movie in me, because it's done so well, and and then the very end is very satisfying when he gets to the the lower layers of hell, and it's very Jack gets everything that he deserves in the afterlife. But the part that's totally fucked up is that you realize he never gets what he deserves during so his immortal soul gets what it deserves, but he never got what he deserved in his real life. Like, there's just you hate him so much, and he is so horrible and the things that are going on are just so inexplicable, but it's very uncomfortable. You feel like, okay, well, his soul's going to burn in hell, but then I realized I don't believe in that, and so and you're forced to decide: is it enough that his soul is being tortured, or is this the occasion where you, as much as you dislike torture and as much as you dislike, like, what's appropriate? What kind of punishment can you possibly give a person as horrible as this serial killer?
Yeah.
And that's what you're forced to grapple with, is there isn't any. And so, but here it is.
Yeah.
He's, this is the punishment that he's going to be left with, and is that enough? And it's not. He's so bad. Uma Thurman appears briefly in this movie. Fantastic. Just a great turn from Uma Thurman in 20. If you're wondering what's Uma Thurman up to, she's appearing in briefly in movies like this that are very thought provoking and very, very difficult to watch. And there you go. So,
well, I mean, I can't think of the last time I saw Matt Dillon in a role of any kind, and so he's so interesting good. And that's the thing. I think he's of the talent that can make these choices, and I'll definitely have to check that out. In the movie Braveheart, William Wallace said, "Every man dies, but not every man really lives." You really live this.
And Susan, don't watch this movie, for the love of God. Do not watch this movie. Yeah. This is not your bag. All right, just pass.
Hard pass.
Hard, rude pass for sure. But Sergio, I really would be interested. Like, this is a conversation that I would like to have with you off, separately, because I would be genuinely interested to know. I'm
gonna have Ratatouille at the ready as soon as it's over, because I have a feeling I'll need something light after. Because I don't know how y'all are, but that's what I think. If I watch something really, really heavy or very gory, not gory, but graphic, it's like I need a cartoon now.
It is so. Oy.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. Anything serial killer related, my curiosity is piqued. I don't know what that says about me, but yeah, I'll definitely check it out. The House that Jack Built, is it available on streaming, Paul?
Yes. What was it? Shoot, it is. It's available. I don't remember which platform it's on. Apologies to the platform, but do a search. It's there.
Absolutely.
I'm looking on realgood.com, which is another.
I think it's on Hulu. I want to say Hulu.
It says not on services. Yeah, Hulu is the one that it says, or you can rent it or buy it from Google Play Prime Video.
So there you
go. Well, I will definitely check it out. Definitely check it out. All right. Well, thank you, Paul, for another great entry into What the Hell Did I Just Watch?
Yep.
And that will get us back to. Go ahead.
There will be another Lars von Trier movie in this segment for sure. It's gonna be a couple months before I'm ready to watch another one of his films. But
looking at his filmography, he's got a few.
Yeah.
That seems to be right in that wheelhouse of What the Hell Did I Just Watch?
Yeah.
And so if you want to know more about what Paul's been watching that has shocked and amazed us, make sure you check out our Facebook postings, as he is sharing there some of the films that he has talked about in these segments. But more importantly, join us week to week so you can hear it firsthand from our friend Paul. So that brings us to our next segment, which is our weekly look at what Susan finally saw. Susan, what do you have for us this week?
Okay, so after that dark movie, let's go ahead and get something funny. All right, so I'm not usually a huge fan of Will Ferrell movies. That's a weird way of saying it like that. So don't jump at me yet. There are a lot of times when I can't get into them because I'm just like so annoyed. This movie, however, was balanced out with somebody that is more serious. I watched The Other Guys.
Ah.
So I laughed the entire time. I was like, because it was such a contrast with him and Mark Wahlberg was like, it took the edge off, if you will. Okay, so I have especially lately, my patience has been really thin with like things that I would typically find annoying. Very thin. Like I can't stand the same sound over and over again. I have 3 kids, by the way. Yeah, you'd think I'd be used to it by now, and but like I don't know. Lately, I haven't had a longer. My fuse has been really short, I guess. But just how phenomenal everything went together, and watching them, be silly and dumb, and then like what's her name? Eva Mendes is his wife. It's like
so funny. Oh.
It's hilarious, and watching whenever Mark Wahlberg, he's like, yeah, but who is this really? Like he's like, no, it's my wife for real, and like it's so it was really funny. I thought it was hilarious, and I thought that like the with the other guys that are like Samuel L. Jackson and
The Rock,
and then The Rock, it was like watching them. It was I think everything came together really well. And so I have to say, like, I started, this was a while back ago, I started a movie and I couldn't finish it, Step Brothers. So I'm going to try again. I'm going to try again.
I won't be disappointed.
Yeah.
If I
You don't have to. You don't have to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's on my list, so I have to at least look at it. But it's the same director, and it's got Will Ferrell in it again. But like, I have to be in a certain mood because when I started watching that movie, I made it about like 20 minutes in, and I was like, I'm done with this guy. I'm done. And I slammed my computer shut. I was sitting there going,
he is rage-inducing in that movie, for sure.
I was like, I dare any one of my damn kids to talk to me like that. Obviously not. But like, seriously, I was just like, yeah, okay. I'll try again, maybe in a different mood, but like.
When you do watch it, let us know so that we can plan a Sweet Child of Mine sing-along, okay?
You guys, your poor ears would bleed. I'm sorry. Like, that's a bad idea. No, but yeah, so I thought it was funny. I liked it. I think that they did a great job in the contrast, and he was actually kind of funny in this one. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that's what I think.
I love it. I'm glad you saw it. I remember when I saw that movie in the theater, I got into this uncontrollable fit of laughter over the desk pop. The desk pop scene.
Yeah.
To the point where it hurt. And Jen was like, "Why are you like that? Wasn't that funny?" I'm like, "Why?" I couldn't even respond. I don't know why.
I love those moments in movies.
I know, and to this day, everything involving the Prius, forget it. I'm losing my mind as a Prius owner.
I know, like you need to recreate some of those with your Prius.
This was one of those movies that I wasn't able to catch in the theater, but like as soon as it was out on Blu-ray, I bought it because I knew I was gonna love it. Like it was just like everything about this movie I'm gonna love. So I bought it sight unseen, and yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny
that makes me happy, Paul.
What's funny is that on your notes on my list, Paul, on your notes, because you have them sorted by director, and right. So Adam McKay is number 2, 3, and 4 on the list, and the other guys is number 4, and you put number 1. Yes. Also, if you don't like this one, skip 1 and 2, and I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. And then you said number 2 is Step Brothers. I'm like,
Well, but here's the thing. Of the Adam McKay movies, of the Adam McKay, Will Ferrell movies, other guys is the best empirically. Like, just as a film, it's the best one. Like, I don't even know that we could have I would have a hard time having a conversation with somebody if somebody could say, oh, well, I like this one more, and I get that, but just empirically as a film, The Other Guys is the best one of the movies. Okay, so B, it is by far the most accessible of all of the Will Ferrell movies, just as far as not just being Will Ferrell. So if you don't enjoy this one, if there's just something about it that grates on you, there's no way you're gonna like Step Brothers. It's just like, at least if you like this one, there's a chance that you could potentially like Anchorman or Step Brothers. But if you don't like Other Guys, you're not going to like Step Brothers. I mean, you're definitely not going to like, like those other ones are just non-starters if you don't like Other Guys. I wouldn't even, like so if I'm introducing Will Ferrell to somebody who's never seen a Will Ferrell movie, I'm starting with Elf, I'm starting with Elf. And then like, okay, did you like Elf? Okay, are you an adult? Great. Let's pop in The Other Guys.
Are you an adult? I love it.
So number 2 is The Other Guys. And then after The Other Guys, I'm going, all right, so you like The Other Guys? All right, now this is going to get a little crazy. We're going to Anchorman. Did you like Anchorman? Fantastic. You are ready for Step Brothers. Like, that's just the order that I'm going in.
Yeah.
I see. That's what I needed, because I've okay. Serge already knows this, but you're gonna cry a little bit. I've never seen Elf. And everybody's always like, what?
Well,
and I was
we're
like,
doing a Christmas assignments movie, and so
far away.
Yeah, we have
Christmas
several
is
months,
still months away.
but just be warned, Elf is going to be your assignment if you don't get to it naturally.
I'm not going to end.
That
up
is fucking insane.
I've also never seen Anchorman.
That's fine. That's fine. Again,
see, this is the reaction
for the movies that you have exposure to. I get it. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I would have you watch Elf before Anchorman. Like, that's just how I would do it. Like,
Yeah, that's my. I haven't seen it.
Will Ferrell is one of those. It's like we could talk all day about hit or miss.
His misses are really bad, though.
His misses are very bad. Like, the sequel to Anchorman was very bad, in my opinion.
Right.
But Anchorman is brilliant. Anchorman is brilliant.
Right.
Real quick thought on Adam McKay, Paul. I always forget he's behind Vice and The Big Short, which are some of my favorite films, and yet he still produces some of these other films that we're like, what a difference. But The Other Guy is definitely one of his best. So I'm so glad you saw it.
Yeah, it was fun. I liked it.
Excellent. Oh man,
you can catch it on Netflix. By the way, catch it on Netflix.
Cool.
All right. One of these days, we're going to have the Reel to Reel Talk movie festival, and all of these movies are going to be shown. So we've gone from screening to movie festival.
I hope 90% of everybody that's there will walk out when we get to the house that Jack built. Garrett,
Please, no.
That'll be the special secret screening that they have to know you, Paul.
Right.
They have to personally know you to get that invite. Yeah. That's cool. All right. Well, as always, week to week, you can hear from both Paul and Susan as they bring us their segments of What the Hell Did I Just Watch? And Susan Finally Saw. What are some movies you haven't seen yet? You need to get out there and start watching them, because we'd love to hear what your thoughts are. And we hope that some of the movies that we've talked about today are going to land on your list of movies that you'll be watching soon. So we appreciate that. Now it's time for real quick movie reviews. Paul, what do you have for us this week?
Yeah, so American Pickle came out on HBO Max. It went straight to HBO Max. It's a movie. Seth Rogen it plays two characters, both a turn of the 20th century laborer who emigrates to the United States, and his great grandson. The laborer gets sealed in a vat of brine that's used to make pickles, and survives a century until the brine vat gets opened and he's released. it's a Seth Rogen movie, so it's fun and it's funny, but it's also not the best Seth Rogen movie. It's definitely like, Seth Rogen and Will Ferrell are very similar in just, they have a very certain brand of humor. And sometimes that humor works and sometimes that humor doesn't. And sometimes it's right in the middle. And this is one that it's right in the middle. And this is the classic. I loved the first act. And then as things wore on, it just kind of lost me. But if you have HBO Max and you have, 90 minutes or whatever, however long the movie is, and you're just looking for something different to watch, it's worth it. I give it a solid 3 tacos. Yeah, we'll go 3 tacos with guac, because I loved the first 30 minutes. I really did love the first 30 minutes. And then yeah. So there you go. I'll stop there.
There you go. All right. Well, HBO Max, if you got it, check it out. An American Pickle. And I know I need to at some point, and I might just have to fold and get HBO Max, because golly, they've got some great stuff.
They have some amazing stuff.
Really
no
do.
joke.
Oh, it's sucked
yeah.
in.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to take a few moments to talk about my recent foray into the world of anime. As I'm just going to call it Anime August. I'm going to do some exploration in the area of anime movies, shows, and so forth. And today, team, I don't know how familiar you are, but I decided that my first serious, I've seen anime before. Somewhere along the way, I watched Akira, because on my Hulu, it shows that I've watched it. And so I'm like, how do I not remember this? So I've got to go back and watch it again.
Okay.
Susan finally saw back in the beginning.
Yeah, no, I know. And so when I was looking for stuff to watch, I found Akira on Hulu, and it literally, how it has that red bar that shows you watching. I'm like, when did I watch Akira? And so, there was what was that Scarlett Johansson remake? I think I asked you guys.
Ghost in a Shell.
Yeah, so I saw the actual anime again years ago.
Yeah.
So my first actual, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to introduce myself into this world and figure things out. This was a suggestion made by my friends from Con Culture Podcast, who suggested that I start with One Punch Man. One Punch Man is a series. It now has 2 seasons. The first 12 are available on Netflix. The first 12 episodes are available on Netflix. And it is a very simple premise. And that is, this is a superhero, Saitama, who basically finishes off his opponents with one punch. And it's right from the get-go, I get sucked in, because there's a scene in which he is encountering this villainous character. And the villainous character is going off on this long soliloquy and diatribe. And then our hero punches him, and he's dead. And it was like, what just happened? And I'm like, oh yeah, One Punch Man. And
I'm
so,
picturing that in my head, by the way, and it's glorious.
It's fantastic. And so I haven't finished the first season. I'm several episodes in. I'm just sucked in totally. It's, the thing about anime, and this is a guy who's not really watched anime enough to talk about it intelligently. What I love about what I'm seeing, and what really excites me for future things that I'll watch, and hopefully the two of you will give me some suggestions, is the way in which my favorite part of this particular anime is that we meet Saitama and he looks a certain way, but when he's fighting or when he's thinking about or reliving something, it's a whole different drawing or rendition of him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes back to that really simple face, that's kind of like, anyway, like, this is what I do. And I just love the way in which anime seems to use that as a way to draw you in. Again, I'm doing a horrible job of describing why I love this, but I'm excited, because if this series is anyway, an indicator of what's out there, we may not go beyond August talking about it here on the show, but I'm excited about what it's going to do to broaden my movie and show watching horizons. So I have to ask, how familiar are the two of you with One Punch Man, and did I pick well to start?
Not
You're
familiar at all.
Okay, well,
Nope.
I understand and appreciate anime and totally respect the influence it has on film in general, but it's a huge blind spot for me. Like I've seen Akira and Ghost in the Shell and a few others, but like I would love to have the time to sit down and just devote a lot of time to watching anime.
Yeah.
But
well, and the other thing I love about One Punch Man is the episodes are like 22 minutes long. You know, it's
cool.
real quick
Yeah.
episodes, and again, there's weirdness. There's all kinds of weirdness.
I'm all about the weird, man.
Yeah,
That's not
and
gonna stop me.
there are characters in the show that you look at and they're visually like, wow, what am I looking at? But I mean, again, as speaking from someone who's like far closer to the zero side of the scale on my experience with anime, One Punch Man really does a lot to get me excited about, okay, so what else can I find?
Right.
And there's a bag over to my right on the shelf that a dear friend of mine, Nick Kramer, actually, he literally brought me a bunch of animes a few months ago, probably more than a year now. And I'll be digging through that bag because it's time to immerse myself into anime. So I don't know what it'll be next week, but it will be a film of some sort. It won't be a series. It's going to actually be a movie. And I'll let you guys know what I find because it was fun. It's been fun. So people need to check out anime. I know I did. All right. So, here we are. We are at the conclusion of another journey through an episode of Real to Real Talk. We thank you so much for joining us. Remember, you can find us on Facebook, Real to Real Talk, as well as Instagram, where you can find out what we're watching, what we're going to be talking about, what's been going on, and make sure you check out our back episodes, both here on YouTube and also on Podbean. We will continue with our audio version of the show, and you'll be able to find it in all the normal places where you've heard us before. Don't forget, subscribe, hit the notification bell here on YouTube, and that way you know when our videos land. Paul, Susan, it's always a blast. I'm looking forward to next time already.
Yep.
Me too.
All right. So
We
on
have a
behalf
fun one
of all,
next week.
oh, indeed. On behalf of all of us, we simply say thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you. Don't forget, you're awesome. You're amazing. And the world's a better place because you are in it. We'll see you next time on Real to Real Talk.